Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Nick.
How are you doing?
Good.
All right, so the reason that I wanted to podcast you, the big reason was I want to get your story on Nemo. Tell me first,
Not the Disney movie?
Not the Disney movie,
Okay.
Finding Nemo. No, your company, Nemo. I want to get your inside story on how it started, on where it's going, everything. So, where do you start?
Well, I can start from the beginning. So back in the late 90s, me and a couple friends, we were like the art department for a snowboard company down in Salem, Oregon called Moro Snowboards. I'd worked there for, 6 years or so, and we did all the, I was a graphic designer, so I did all the board graphics and apparel graphics and designed catalogs and print advertisements and just anything that brand needed designed. Me and my friends, Trevor and Chris, we designed it. It was super fun, got a lot of leeway to do a lot of cool shit, and like a lot of businesses, they were a public company. They sold the company in early 1999, and so everybody was out of a job, and so we, it was weird. Like without really missing a beat, we just were like, well, what should we do next? And like, well, what if we just made our own version of this and kind of go get our own clients? And so,
was it originally snowboard?
Kind of, yeah. So maybe that was where all of our connections were, and it's design agencies. It's a lot of it's just networking and who you know. And so luckily, Trevor, my business partner, he has pretty good connections, and so we just the three of us were unemployed, and we were drawing unemployment, which I think at the time was about $1,200 a month.
Okay.
And so we all just lived on our unemployment for 6 months and started our own agency, which it's funny thinking back. Now I would be scared shitless to do that.
Yeah.
Back then it wasn't that scary for some reason. And so we had a friend who had an office that he would let us borrow in Portland. I was driving back and forth from Portland for about a year and a half as we kind of got the agency started. And we kind of, our core expertise was in sort of action sports, so snowboarding, a little bit of skateboarding, BMX, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we started. And luckily we had enough connections that we kind of slowly built up a client base. Ended up working for the company that bought Moro Snowboards as an outside agency, which was kind of cool. And then we got to do work for K2 and a bunch of other companies in the snowboard world. And then just our network just kind of grew a little bit outside of that. We stayed in what we call kind of the active lifestyle sort of category, and working with brands like Nike, and now we again working with brands that have a really good cult following. But we just kind of took that expertise and slowly over the years applied the mentality that I think is so great about action sports is, you have to be very authentic to those brands. People can smell an outsider pretty quickly.
Sure.
So we just kind of used those principles and just kind of applied them to different brands that still had a similar core values, but maybe they weren't technically in action sports. So, and we've been doing that now for 21 years. It's changed a lot since we started. It's gotten a lot harder. There's a lot more agencies like us now than there were. And you're having to kind of reinvent yourself. And then 2020, as we all know, things got shaken up pretty bad. And so just generally, brands that we work for, everyone's trying to pivot and figure out what the next thing is and how to survive this sort of new landscape. And luckily we're doing okay, and we're able to keep working and keep working with great brands. But a lot has changed since we first started. Before, it was a lot more just about boutique design aesthetic and just being a cool agency. And now, you've got to be a lot more strategic. You have to really understand the consumer mindset, and you can't just make cool shit to make cool shit anymore. You have to have reasons to do it and be a lot more strategic about it.
So I'm going to back you up a little bit here.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know. First, so you said that it was a lot easier in 1999 to just start a business, and like you didn't really put a lot of thought. Do you think that was because of the time, or do you think that was because of your age, or both? Combination?
Probably both. I mean, I was 24 when we started, so kind of like Gavin's age, which we didn't know what we didn't know, and so we didn't have as much to be worried about, because it just was like, oh yeah, we'll just do this, like
sure.
And so I think age, and then again, like there weren't a lot of agencies like us back then. You had the big advertising agencies, the Wieden and Kennedys and all that stuff, which we weren't that.
No.
And so we came at it from, like I said, kind of
your own niche,
a boutique design direction, and just it's just like anything, our industry has gotten more commoditized, and it's just not as it's just a lot easier also to get started. Anybody, a couple $1,000s and a Macintosh and a good sensibilities can really do it. And so, that's why, you have to evolve. You have to evolve your offering. You have to kind of continue to grow. If you stay still too long, you won't make it. But yeah, I think, like I said, I wouldn't want to start one now. Again, I think I forget the number, like 53,000 agencies in the U.S. So it's like
similar agencies to
just
NEMO,
in general. And so like, it's tough. I think 2020 has weeded out some of them, but it's highly competitive now.
And I guess before you even started the business, did you have any business experience besides being at Morrow? Like, what was your degree in college? How did you get your experience at Morrow?
Yeah, I just have a 2-year associate's degree in visual communications, and I was always told I was artistic or creative as a kid. I drew a lot, took the classic stuff in high school, painting, drawing, but was not good enough to be like a fine artist. Like, I mean, or never thought I could even make money doing that. So I wasn't ever thinking that. And so luckily the last term of my senior year, my girlfriend Annie, my wife now, was like, hey, I took this really cool class called graphics. You make t-shirts and it's like there were computers, and it was like, again, it was exciting.
She took the class.
She took it first, and I was like, you should do it. It's really cool. And then we both got to know the teacher really well, Mr. Terry. He's definitely responsible for like just pivoting my trajectory just enough, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I never took the SATs. I was like, I don't know what I'm. You're supposed to. You're taught you're supposed to go to college and figure shit out. I thought, well, I'll just take I'll get a business degree and I'll fucking run a bowling alley. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I just got knocked just enough to this design thing, and then loved it. And our teacher who taught graphic design in high school, also taught, I think, photography. And he had a screen printing business out of his garage, separate from the school. And so we got to know him really well, and he hired us over the summer to help him print t-shirts, which again kind of got us a little bit more experience, and just knew that I loved it. And I knew that Chemeketa Community College offered a visual communications program, and they taught you how to run a printing press. They taught you how to do computer design. They taught you like kind of all aspects of it. And I thought, oh, this is great. And just I could tell you could make money at it. It's the commercial version of what like I was told was like, art, you can't make money at art, but there's a commercial version of I could make money at this and it'd be great. And just again through networking, it's all networking.
Yeah. You meet someone, they introduce you to someone else. Sure.
Totally. And so one of my professors at Chemeketa said, hey, there's this job opening at this, what they called a service bureau at the time. And it was they don't really have them anymore, but they were they were the company that you would use right before you'd go to a printing press. So like they would help you get all your files ready to be printed.
Okay.
It's called pre-production. And so now it's all
digitalized.
So I worked nights from like 5 p.m. till whenever I was done. And then but I met, people would drop off their files at night, and I got to meet all the designers in town. And I met Scott Klum, who was the art director, design director at Morrow Snowboards. We got a little rapport going. I would kind of do free shit for him on the side. He'd like, hey, can you run this out for me? He had like a cool like self-published magazine, and like again, like just was doing some really cool shit. And it was like, hey, do you want to work as my like design assistant? And I was like, of course. So he brought me on to Morrow, and then after he left, a couple other people came on, and that's when we my friend group then started NEMO. So like it just, and it's like I said, it's never easy, but like it is, you have to work your network, you have to know people, you have to be open to meeting new people, because you never know where that person's going to land, where they might hire you next, or they might
introduce you to someone else, or
80% of this business is networking and just staying connected and just making sure that you can offer. And that's what we've learned even more so now, is that used to be, we were in a lucky position where our services were in high demand, and the phone just kind of would ring based off of the work that you did for somebody else. Now you can't take anything for granted. There's a lot more specialized agencies, some that just do one particular thing really well. So you have to constantly be getting in front of people and putting out good ideas, and in hopes that it'll turn into a long-term relationship with somebody.
Okay.
Sorry, we're going all over the place.
No, that's fine. There's no rhyme or reason, really. It's just however it works.
We can cut some of that out if you want.
Exactly. What's been your favorite project you've worked on, or favorite client, or any memorable?
Oh man,
with NEMO?
That's tough. It's like there's so many. And the cool thing, like as I've evolved as a creative person, I don't do this. I used to love designing and making stuff. And as I've kind of, had to evolve my position in the company, like I am less hands-on than I used to, which is fine, because like I said, I think I've done 400 snowboard graphics. I've done like 1 million t-shirt designs. I've done 1 million photo shoots. So I'm having a hard time like having that be what motivates me. And what motivates me now more is like helping unlock that in other people and helping them. I get as much excitement when someone on our team does something really cool that I can have a small part in, or just know that it came from our group. But getting to like photograph professional athletes is always. I met Magic Johnson several years ago, probably 10 years ago. He was launching his like a kind of a price point shoe brand, and got to fly down to LA, meet him at the Lakers practice facility. Look up in the window, there's all the trophies in the window. He comes in, he's we do the photo shoot. He's like, I'm off camera. He's doing like behind the back no look passes to me and talking about how he remembers every single playoff game against the Blazers. And like, so just
were you with him personally? Wow. Oh, wow.
And like, and then we did a couple things for his company, and so that was really cool to know. Like, probably the first time I was like really starstruck around people, but I've got to meet and photograph different athletes and different things, and just constantly just remind myself how lucky I am to get to do that. Like we did a lot of stuff like in the wakeboard industry stuff. I got to go on some really cool photo shoots to do that.
You've been across the world.
I got to go to Russia, which was like for a day and a half to like pitch some work for some people, and like it's kind of scary at the same time. You're like, this is a little sketchy, but it's like this. The last 25 years has taken me to a lot of really cool places, so it's really hard to pinpoint like my favorite one. But recently, it's funny, I was super burned out on like snowboard stuff before, because like had done it at Morrow for 6-7 years, did it for the first 4 or 5 years of NEMO, so I was like kind of over it. There wasn't much I could do, and then we recently, last couple of years, did some work for another snowboard company called Signal, and it was cool to get to go back and do some snowboard graphics. So I've done, I think, 3 graphics in the last 3 years, which have been really fun to kind of get back into that and kind of come full circle. So that's been fun.
Okay. As of right now, do you see NEMO being in a good position in 2021, and where do you see it moving in the next few years?
We're in a decent position. I mean, like I said, I think we're just thankful to be in business right after 2020. I think saw a lot of agencies close their doors or just like drastically cut way back. Which again is not surprising, but I think NEMO, we are going to become less general, less broad, maybe. I think that's what we're actually in the kind of early planning stages for 2021, and it's like I think we really need to be more disciplined and focused on services and not offer everything. We're good at we know our audience, we know our clientele, but we've been more of a generalist agency, and so I think we're going to kind of narrow the focus a little bit and be a little more specific on and target more upfront brand building stuff versus the downstream execution stuff, because that's where it's really hard to compete. So getting up into the brand side and getting much more on the planning and strategic side of things, and help shape or redefine what a brand stands for and what they believe in. And then, of course, wherever it makes sense to then help them express that, but then not have to worry about all the little things.
Every little step, sure. Yeah. Okay.
So, another fun one, too, is just motion and video and that kind of stuff has been really, again, there's a lot of companies that really specialize in it, and we're starting to dabble in that because, a lot of content that's getting put out there, like, again, not to age myself, but used to be, you couldn't even put video on your website because the bandwidth, you couldn't.
You couldn't even run it.
Sizes were so big. So like, it was such a luxury to have video, and now with social media and all that stuff, it's become like it's really taken what used to be really out of reach for like big TV production and stuff, and like you're seeing companies and brands able to really put out a lot of great content either through user generated stuff or just how great phones are and even you wouldn't have been able to do this 10 years ago.
No,
so
definitely not.
But where you can really win is just how do you make that? How does that experience just translate back to the brand? And so I think that's an area that's like not going to go away.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting that Gavin showed me today. Did you see? I don't know if he showed you yet. The Instagram account. Is it Local Flight Co? They it's a vintage company in LA, and the guy works in the movie business. And with the t-shirts that he posts, he animates the image on the t-shirt. Wow. And so like he has one of like a Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's a guy like a skeleton like on a ship, cool. And he animated the image. And it's like the waves are like coming over. It's like really well done. And it's not cheesy. Like
it's not augmented reality. It's just straight like animation video.
Yeah. It's just straight. Cool. It's really
that's
cool.
Great. So again, like how do you? I mean, the vintage thing. I mean, there's some people jumping on that. How do you stand out? In that's great.
Great example of how you can stand out. Definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure.
My next topic.
Let's do it.
A nice way to segue is vintage. I'm wondering. I mean. I guess we can't really talk about the vintage obsession before we talk about the obvious obsession.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you get hooked on Star Wars, and what?
Yeah, I remember it exactly. I'm as I get old now, but I get foggy on the details. But I remember. So Star Wars came out in '77. I was born in '73, so I was a little bit too young to see Star Wars in the theater.
Okay.
But I think it must have been in '79 or maybe early '80. I had an aunt in Tacoma. We'd go visit her like once a year, and she had, this again is going to date myself, she had the first ever VCR I ever saw in my life.
Wow.
Top load, and it was like, and she's like,
uh-huh.
hey, I have, I think her son was like in the Navy or something, and had gotten it in Japan
Wow.
before they were really in the States.
Sure.
And so somehow she had a copy of Star Wars on
the
VHS.
Wow.
Yeah, but again, this before you could ever really get this stuff.
Sure.
So I remember I was in the basement watching it, and I was just blown. I was at the right age. I must have been 6 or 7. I was blown away. There was nothing like it before.
Sure.
I watched it over and over and over all weekend. Like I only stopped long enough to rewind the tape to watch it again, and I was hooked. I saw Empire Strikes Back in the theater, and I saw Jedi in the theater, and then I was the right age to be like, the toys were a big thing, and so right about Return of the Jedi, so '83, I was getting into skateboarding, and so my Star Wars phase kind of ran out, and then I sold all my stuff to get a skateboard, and then when I was in my early 20s, I kind of, for some reason, started going to flea markets and started kind of buying it all back. And obviously with the invention of eBay and stuff,
Yes.
it's gotten a lot easier.
Yes.
But I've gone apeshit to kind of get back even more than what I had. And I've had to really limit it to just the vintage stuff because there's so much stuff now.
Yeah, the new stuff.
Yeah, I really kind of...
Once Disney took it over, I feel
which
like.
is fine.
Yeah.
And like I said, Mandalorian's awesome, and I love all of it. I'll go see all of it, but like I just have to limit myself. I just run out of room because like it's just there's so much stuff, and it's just a good connection to my childhood and just to kind of a bygone era. And I love the whole like Toys That Made Us documentary. It's just like learning about how it all came to be because, again, there was never merchandise tied to a movie really before.
Yeah.
And kind of Star Wars was the first one to do it, which then I think I have an obsession with collecting or just the thrill of finding something, which I think then has translated very nicely into vintage clothing as well.
Okay. So, sticking on the Star Wars again.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I don't know if I've ever met anyone as obsessed with Star Wars as you. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I mean it as a compliment.
It's part of my brand. It's part of who I am.
Yeah.
I'm known as the Star Wars guy.
Ever since I've known Gavin and I've known you, there have been eBay packages coming at your door of new or vintage Star Wars toys.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I know the cat.
Cat wants in.
Yeah.
Get out of here. We're filming a podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. What was I going to say? Oh, I guess, did you have anyone in your family that collected things?
Well, I've got a younger... Well, yeah. You must know this answer. Are you feeding me this answer?
No?
You don't know? Well, so my younger brother also kind of loves to collect Star Wars, but my mom is a huge Disney collector.
Right, yeah, okay.
But I don't know... I guess when I was a kid, she was still into Disney and collecting, but like I think... my mom has... I mean, this is just a small amount of what I have.
Yeah.
She puts me to shame when it comes to Disney stuff.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She's known as Grandma Mickey.
Yeah, that's true.
Her name's not, that's all the kids know her. I don't think they even know what her real name is.
Really?
No, they do, but...
but I didn't know that her name was not Mickey.
No, it's not. It's Angie.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I had
Grandma
no idea,
Mickey.
I've always known her as Grandma Mickey.
Yeah, her and I are similar in sort of the obsession part. I mean, she's already planned her next trip to Disneyland as soon as they open up. Yeah, so... But yeah, she... I probably got a little bit of that from her.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then translating, so do you know the moment that you switched? Because I don't see you buy much Star Wars stuff anymore, honestly.
I must only have room for one obsession at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was... I was deep into it for the last couple of years, for sure. And then, I don't know, I think when I started going to the bins, I slowly just replaced that little like dopamine rush of when you like find something and you get it and you're stoked and you put it away to like now it's 100%.
Do you think it has to do with
t-shirts?
Maybe like, do you already have everything you want?
No. That's true. That's a good point. Like it's getting harder and harder to find things that I don't have.
Yeah.
Or that I want, or the stuff that I do need is like more expensive stuff. But I mean, that's a good point. Maybe I kind of hit a little bit of a peak to where
you almost wanted to find something else that's like gives you that dopamine rush. Like,
well, what's weird though is the Star Wars stuff is for me, like it's for my collection, but the vintage T-shirt stuff and the stuff that I helped Gavin with, I have very little connection with that stuff. Like I'm more excited to find something cool that I know he can sell or that people will value.
Yeah.
And it's also really, I'm starting to get really a lot more aware of the environmental impact of just kind of how we, and it's kind of funny, I kind of grapple with it because the industry I'm in, professionally, marketing, I'm trying to convince people to buy shit that they probably don't need. And then at the same time, I get bummed out when I go and I see how much stuff gets thrown away.
Sure.
So I'm definitely at odds with that. But it's opened my eyes to more about how can I take what's great about salvaging things and getting, it's great that you can sell it, but at the same time, for me, Gavin, it's a business, but for me, I just love it. I mean, obviously the 90s is what the kind of sweet spot right now for vintage, and that's just again hits me in a good like nostalgia where I was designing shit in the 90s, and so I have a connection there, and it just the graphics and the style is just so iconic, and it's so much better than what some of the current stuff is. But like I'd rather find something that I know someone else will love. Like if I know someone's big into whatever it is,
Simpsons games
or Green Bay Packers,
I
found that Green Bay sweatshirt today, and our accounting director is from Wisconsin and loves Green Bay. She's like, oh,
and they're like going to the Super Bowl almost.
Yeah,
probably.
So it's like I love connecting people with stuff that I know that they appreciate, and I also love that it can kind of, on a small scale, can help reverse some of the terribleness that fast
industry,
textiles and stuff.
All that stuff.
I'm constantly thinking about how can we then even evolve what we're doing to be, even at NEMO, like how do we start to be better at environmental impact of everything we do.
Sure. So when you're saying all this stuff, it makes me think of how kind of Gavin has sort of told me the story. I wasn't there of the name Recycled Rad.
Oh.
He told me that you were the one who came up with it.
Yeah.
Do you think, I mean, like recycled, like to me, I'm gonna be honest, it's a weird name.
Right. It doesn't like it's not traditional.
Yeah.
The structure
like,
of how it works.
Sure, but I think it is a good name, and it greatly encompasses that kind of goal of, all of this stuff is recycled. It's all old things, and it's cool to rad to connect it with the people who actually connect with that stuff from their childhood.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's where you came from. If you have anything.
Yeah, I mean it was. I mean, obviously, I when I'm into something, I try to learn about the industry and stuff. And obviously, like Round 2 and Generation Cool, and like just there's a lot of great. Like Round 2 is to me an awesome name. Like it's the second time around. Like that's awesome. And so I'm like, I don't think I really had much of like a recycling, like good for the environment kind of vibe when I was thinking about it. But I was like, oh, like it's rad shit and we can recycle it to like be rad again.
Sure.
So it was more about just kind of that similar play on words where like it's the second time around, and it's because again like rad is very much like part of the 80s and 90s kind of vernacular and stuff like that. So like it's funny. I think Gavin told me you wanted to call it Rad Recycled or something like that.
I don't know. I for some reason, it's grown on me.
Yeah.
At first, it hit me wrong,
it's weird.
I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
I can see that. But again, like in my professional life, we do naming projects and we've named several brands and stuff. It's one of the hardest things to do because it's so subjective.
Yes.
But when you connect a great story to something, and then you kind of learn about that, it's like makes it that much more powerful. And it's one of the hardest things to get approvals on. Even when you have the most sort of strategic reasoning behind why, names are really, 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 really hard to convince people to. Because like, think about any name and like, what the fuck does any of it mean? You're like
McDonald's, even like.
I'm sure like I mean, like Budweiser.
Yeah.
Like, everything's dumb when
Sure.
you really think about it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, so, you know, there's always great stories about how like Nike came to name. So it's like there's always great stories about it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone often asks, like, why did we name Nemo?
Nemo,
So one of the most common things gets asked, like, how did you come up with that name?
And what's your answer?
Well, I think it's a great story. Again, back in the day, a lot of agencies were named after the partners, and like Wyden and Kennedy is Dan Wyden, and
Yeah.
I forget who Kennedy is, but
Yeah.
like it sounds like a law office.
Mm,
There was
yeah,
like Borders,
yeah.
Parent, and Norander. Like it would sound like a law office, and be like, we don't want to do that. That's lame.
Yeah.
It's not about. I mean, it's not about
You,
me,
the owner. Yeah.
it
It is because you're the ones expressing.
we're in a very egotistical business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people with big egos that it is about them. But we're like, it's not about us. We're here you hire us to solve problems for you, not to force our aesthetic or a very narrow view of us. And it's not about us winning awards, and like, it's about you. And also it's about, and at the time there were only 3 of us, so it wasn't really about the greater Nemo at that point. But like, so my friend Chris, he was reading John Krakauer's Into the Wild. Into the Wild? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Into the Wild.
And the main character, when they go in to try to find him, he had scratched Nemo 3 times on a rock or something like that. I haven't really read the book. I probably should read it.
I've never read the book.
I saw the movie. But, and it's like, oh, Nemo. He was reading it while we were still at Moro. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And we looked it up, and Nemo in Latin means no one.
Okay.
So really, again, we thought it's not about we're no one. Like,
Yeah.
it's not about. That's why we didn't name it Bartel, Graves, and Hotes.
Sure.
It's like it's not about us. We're kind of we kind of morph to be the client or whatever. So it's really we're no one. We're everyone kind of thing.
Sure.
And so now one of our big philosophies is like we're all about collective progression and like it's about our idea, not my idea. It's not about your idea. It's like, can we make our ideas better by working together and really collaborating and that kind of thing. So it's funny when we helped launch Nike 6.0 and they had a similar problem to try to come up with a name and they asked us, well, how did you come up with Nemo? Like, how do we get that? And it was again, it was such an easy. Again, we've spent months naming brands.
Sure.
And it was like so simple and easy for us.
Sometimes it can just stick.
It just made sense. It's like, we don't want this to be about me. We want this. And Nemo means no one. That's cool. We're NEMO Design. That's perfect. And then it just has ever since then it has. I don't even think about it.
No, sure. It's
weird.
just the name. Yeah. Makes sense.
It should be easy.
Yeah. It should come easy. It should stick.
If it's got a story, then it's usually
good.
Easy.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
how are we doing? Doing good?
Yeah, we're doing good.
This is what you're hoping for?
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm hoping for.
I'm going to get a quick drink of my coffee.
No problem.
Okay?
Yeah. We can always edit. That's funny that you guys got the same coffee.
It's good. I like it. All right, we're back.
All right. So tell me about New York.
New York?
How did you guys start that tradition?
Oh.
Every year, what is it? Every year on Christmas, the week of Christmas, and New Year's, do you stay? Or
we've never stayed for New Year's, but it's funny. I'm a big traditions guy.
Yeah.
I love traditions, and I love making family traditions, and I love. I would rather spend money early on, when the kids were young. We made sure to travel a bunch and bring them with and not leave them home, because I think you can learn a lot more and be a lot more well-rounded if you get out. And I mean, that's why I was so stoked when Gavin got to go visit you in Korea and Japan. I haven't been there. It's on my list for sure. But you know the kind of person that you went to high school with, or like when you get a little older, you'll go back to your reunion and you'll know, oh, he's never left the hometown.
Yep.
He's never gone farther than like Vegas, and Vegas is not the same as
it's
going to New York in Vegas is not like
not at all.
So like, if you can travel, do it. I'd rather spend money traveling than on more stuff.
Sure.
Especially as we talked about the environment, right?
I'd
rather have experiences. And so, I think 3 or 4 years ago, we all of a sudden were like, why? Like the family thing. going from this house to that house. And it gets a little bit tiring. We're like, what if we went somewhere warm for Christmas? So we looked at Hawaii, and it was like, oh my God, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Like, nope, not doing that. So we're like, we had gone to New York for spring break, like maybe 3 or 4 years prior, and the kids loved it. Like, what if we went to New York for Christmas? Because like Christmas in New York is pretty rad.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, we did it. We found a really cool Airbnb and like kind of like live in like a little apartment for about 8 or 9 days, and just live like you spend Christmas like you live there.
Yeah.
And you know, we would still do touristy stuff, and we'd go and, you know, see a Broadway
Grand Central
play.
Park.
Do all that fun stuff. But like, you know, we'd go and do all of our shopping there, and like, and all of a sudden it just became this awesome tradition. And this last Christmas was the first year we haven't done it, I think, in 3 years. But we'll do it again as soon as we can. But there's just so much cool shit to do there. And again, like, it's like most people like collect themselves around family and get really stressed out, and so we kind of removed ourselves from that.
Yeah.
We'll still see them, and
sure,
but like,
you'll have a Christmas maybe before you go or after you go.
Yeah. And so again, it's been awesome, and we've learned a ton and been exposed to a bunch of cool stuff, and got to see, you know, we try to go to a different museum every year.
Yeah.
We try to see a different like cultural event, whether it's like ballet or a Broadway show, or we went to
Hamilton. I remember you guys going, which sounds amazing.
It was awesome. We went to a famous comedy club.
Yeah, Gavin told me about that too.
And like, just like stuff that you can't do around. I mean, you can, but it's different when you go to New York. And we have lists of different restaurants and foods to go see. But again, we have our traditions. We go to, I'm not super religious, but we go to midnight mass at the same church.
Yeah.
We, you know, shop at the same grocery store. We try to get an apartment in the same area because that's kind of like our little neighborhood. And so like, yeah, it's been killer. And, you know, now it's tough as the kids get older. Like, pretty soon it's going to be like, well, how long will that tradition last?
Yeah. I mean, it'd just be you and Annie going at one point, maybe, but...
which I would do.
Sure.
Maybe we'll finally go to Hawaii.
Maybe, yeah, there you go. It'll be cheaper.
Yeah, just 2 of us.
Yeah. I was honestly thinking you were going to bring up something about your Seinfeld obsession.
That's the other obsession. Yeah, why is that? Like, I am like... yeah, maybe. Like, I mean, I probably watch 3 episodes a night.
Yeah.
That's like how it puts me to sleep. I've seen every episode probably at least 6 times.
Yeah.
Like, I just start from the beginning and just let it go.
I know.
We did last year. The kids always get upset at first, but then they appreciate it after. But like, we found the Monk's Cafe. We found it's not the actual apartment exterior, but it's the address that they give. We found that. We found some Ghostbusters filming locations. We found, like, again, like, after 7 or 8 days, you need some more shit to do.
Yeah.
And so, like, why not be a tourist for a day?
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah. And we saw Leonardo DiCaprio one year too, walking around.
Really? Oh yeah, I remember him saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even notice it, but Annie saw him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, another question.
Yep.
It's kind of about your kids.
Oh no. They're not really kids.
I know. Well, that's kind of what it's going to. I heard your daughter is almost moving out.
She's toyed with the idea, yeah.
Yeah, and your son might be moving out in the next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do after?
Well, it's funny. When Chloe, they got really close to moving out, and then they kind of chickened out. But like, there's like a 24-hour period where like Annie just lost it. Like, she had a real hard time with it. I always joke about it, but then at the same time, I'm like, oh God, that is going to be weird. You know, I don't envy young adults now. Like, the price of a house or a rent is, you know, makes it really difficult. And we were just talking about this on our walk. I was joking. We've been in this house 18 years.
Wow, yeah.
And it kind of, now I'm wondering, am I serious? Like, what if we moved out and got like a small townhouse or something somewhere, and just rent the house to the kids in their, you know, like, you could rent a room, Chloe, her boyfriend, Gavin, his, Emma.
Yeah.
It'd be cheaper.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I don't envy you guys having to pay $1,200 a month for a shitty apartment.
It's actually really funny you say that. I was just with my grandparents last night, and one of my cousins kind of had the same problem. It's really expensive to move out, but her parents are doing pretty well, and apparently, instead of their daughter was, I've never even met this cousin, but their daughter moved out, and apparently she just kept not paying the rent. She just kept being in between jobs. It wasn't necessarily her own fault, but
right.
She didn't know really how to save very well. And so her parents did literally exactly that. They just bought a townhouse, and then she is just paying them rent.
Yeah.
And it's, great, because they're still doing the same kind of thing.
It's not,
if she misses a payment, they're still paying for it, right. But also they have at least an investment.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, if when Annie graduates from nursing school, depending on where she wants to work, we could open up and move closer to where she wants to work, and then do you know how much my first apartment was? The rent, 1993.
I'll take
two bedroom.
Yeah,
brand new. We were the first people to move into this complex.
House or apartment?
Apartment, second floor, 2 bedroom. Renting, brand new, never ever been rented before.
I want to say, in right now's time, it would be a good deal if you got $500 a month plus utilities. So 20 years ago, technically, $300 a month plus utilities.
$375.
There you go. Okay. But that's still.
The apartment that Chloe was going to rent was a 1 bedroom, not new, $1,200 a month.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For the just the
1 bedroom.
$375, and then I think the next year it went up to $400.
And that was in Portland?
It was in Salem.
Oh, Salem. Okay.
It went up to $400, and we're like, oh boy. And then we bought our first house. Guess how much our first house was?
That I have less experience on, so I'm not sure.
I bet you the average house in Oregon City is probably $400,000.
Okay. Right now.
Yeah.
I'm guessing 100,000.
79,000.
Jeez.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And our mortgage was going to be $700. It was going from $400 to $700. We were freaking out, thinking,
"Oh no!
How are we going to pay? How are we going to double almost? How are we going to pay for this?"
Yeah.
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 So I don't envy the next this young generation.
Sure.
Trying to the way that the wealth, or the way that the wages and the housing
market, they have not gone up equally at all.
No,
yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
So we'll rent you a room as soon as we move out. You can.
I'm down. This is the first I'm hearing about it, so sure. But okay, interesting. So no real. Of course, it's still, you got at least a few months away.
Yeah, I'm
nothing immediate probably. But
no. And if Chloe moves out again, I'm advising them don't move out to just be broke.
Yeah, of course.
But so start saving and know what it's like. Because it only gets harder. Once you jump in, it only gets harder. It doesn't really get easier.
No, definitely not.
So
it gets harder before it gets easier.
Yeah,
at least.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Of course, I know your answer already, but 2 parts to this question.
Yep.
Have you enjoyed having kids, and do you, I don't want to say recommend, but do you advise against having kids in this day and age?
It's interesting because I kind of said earlier, how you were just taught that you went to school, tried to get as good a grades as you could, so you get into as good a college as you can, to then get a job, to get married, to have kids, and then start the process over again. And really, when you stop and think about it, that was what was being I feel sort of spoon-fed to everybody, at least around me, whether it's through their religion or whatever. That's just the way the social norms were.
Yeah.
And again, so much has changed to now. I joke, but it's not like we don't have a shortage of people in the world.
Yeah.
So, but again, having kids has been amazing, and I wouldn't. We were pretty young when we got married. We were 20, I mean, we were 24 when we had Gavin. Gavin's almost the age we were when we had him.
Mm-hmm.
So we were young when we had him. So we got to do a lot of stuff, together and experience a lot of stuff. That I feel like now the trend is that people are much older before they have kids, if they even have them.
Yeah.
I mean, kids are amazing. I think everyone's going to have a different sort of response, but I do struggle because I think that we do have like a responsibility to not just overpopulate the world.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't let our dogs and cats run around.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean, like
fucking and reproducing.
Yeah, it's like it's too many of these unwanted kids. So like, I do think there's a balance, but again, no one's going to say you can't.
Sure.
So it's a weird thing, but I think I'm pretty I'm not like a just kind of fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. I wanted to make sure that I was financially able to take care of kids
and take care of
so
them.
Like I would. Yeah. That seems like that was what I would recommend. Like when you I wouldn't want anyone to have kids. I don't want to be a grandpa for a little while still. So I think you owe it to your future kids and to the society to be in a good position to take care of kids. Any kids that you bring into the world. So I think you do kind of want to lay the groundwork to be successful before you want to add, because it's stressful too. Like it's not easy, and it will instantly change.
I've never heard anybody say taking care of kids is easy or having kids is easy.
It instantly change your life.
Sure, yeah, that's it. I've heard that
instantly, and it's weird. In people who are friends that I've known that were pregnant, were like, well, what's it like? It doesn't matter what I tell them until you do it, you won't know. And it's an amazing thing, but it can also be. I think anything, got to be responsible about it.
Sure.
So,
did you have a good relationship with your parents growing up?
Yeah. No, my parents are still married, which I think is another rarity. There's a big age gap between my dad and my mom. There's a 16-year age gap, but yeah, I did, and I still do. Which it's funny. I have a theory about like grandparents, which is kind of the same thing, right? And maybe you can tell me if this is true or not. I had like one set of grandparents that were super involved in what I did as a kid and were like, way more involved in my life. And then I had another set that I just saw once a year, maybe Christmas or at a birthday. They were fine, but they weren't like interested in. We send them my school pictures and whatever. But like my one set of grandparents, amazing. Like was at every baseball game, everything. Just super, like would hire me to cut the grass and like just always around and available to just help. And my mom and dad are like that. So I think it sort of I hope that we're the same for our kids. So not that there's anything wrong with being the other kind of grandparent.
Sure.
But it's way more fun to be involved in.
Well, on both ends, I bet.
Yeah.
It depends on the person.
It's so much. It's helpful in the development of everything.
Sure.
And, at the end of the day, all you have are your relationships with people. So all the money and stupid Star Wars toys, I can't take that shit with me. So you want to leave your mark, you do it with relationships.
Sure.
With people,
so what is your theory? Is it just that everyone kind of has grandparents or someone in the family?
I've heard. Sides? Did you have one that was way more involved than the other? The ones that you go to Hawaii with and go to Dukes?
Yeah. It's funny. It's like definitely that. Of course, those grandparents were involved in everything. Those are my mom's parents. My dad's side, my dad's mom, she was exactly like them, and she has a good relation still to this day with them. My dad's dad is kind of the other side of things. Wasn't really involved that much. Did his own thing.
I wonder why that is. Like everyone I talk to seems to have one set that was way more standoffish. And like Annie's grandparents, same thing. Like one that she'd go over and spend the night with the cousins, and the other ones you saw them once a year, and it was like more formal. And like I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
And then come to think of it, it's been on the mom's side of the family that it's
really?
been. I'm gonna have to keep
Well, it was on my dad's side though.
Oh, okay.
That's my dad.
So you broke the
I
theory.
broke the
Maybe there's just not enough room in the universe for two awesome
I
sets
guess.
of grandparents.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know, but.
Be like the others. Be like the cool grandparents.
Sure, everybody wants cool grandparents.
Yep.
Cool grandparents are awesome.
Yep.
I definitely agree
I
with
will
that.
think I will be a cool grandparent.
I hope so. Yeah, I think
Just
you'll
don't play with any of this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars room is off
No,
limits.
those are not toys. Those are not toys.
Fair enough. Okay.
My cool grandma was the first one to have an Atari in my family.
Really?
The first one to have cable TV in my family.
Okay, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
What was the first game that you had? I mean, Atari. How did you get into video games?
Well, again, it was all new.
Yeah.
We had
Growing up in the 70s
we
and
had
80s.
Pong.
Yeah.
Which was like the black and white with just
Yeah.
the. We had that. My grandma had Atari, which was like really cool.
Mm.
We had the shitty knockoff, like it was called. I just actually sold it. It's the Odyssey.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
And
yes.
it's, similar, you put the
Similar to
cartridge in
Atari,
and you do
yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
But also when I was growing up, arcades were a big thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And like you'd go to the pizza parlor and then
Mm-hmm.
you'd just die to go play.
Yeah. Whatever.
Pac-Man. One of the coolest things we did when we first started NEMO was we bought Donkey Kong Jr.
Really?
stand-up game.
Oh wow.
And would play that a bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we started off early when it was still kind of shitty. And then our first computer was kind of shitty. We didn't get like, everyone I knew had a Commodore 64,
Mm-hmm.
which was like way better. We had a shitty something that was like an off-brand something. Then we got our first Apple computer, and then ever since then it's been Apple.
Mm.
But I think we've had every single gaming system.
Really?
Pretty much. Like we
Yeah.
had, we did get an Atari. We then got, I remember getting the first Nintendo, getting the Nintendo's Super Nintendo. Then we got Nintendo 64.
You have a Famicom?
No, I didn't have that one. Didn't have that one.
But yeah, no. It was just a shittier Nintendo.
Yeah, and then Sega, and then.
I'm wondering also, did you watch the Netflix documentary, High Score?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
Amazing,
great.
amazing. No, again, like all those hit me in the right spot because I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
And learning about how, like, that stuff was like not that figured out. Like,
No, not at all.
A lot of luck with all that stuff.
One of the most interesting things about that documentary was the books that I don't know if it was specifically Nintendo or there was like the what were they, the gaming wizards or something,
the people that you would call if you're stuck on something, and they would actually
and they would have the books of just like how to get through this level, and then if somebody found something new they would just write it in. Like that's so cool to me.
Yeah. And I don't play as much as I used to, but I did try to get a PS5. Have been able to get one.
They're sold out.
Oh, I went like before Christmas. I went to Fred Meyer's at like before 6 in the morning to try to get one.
Really?
Yeah, it's been really hard to get.
Wow.
I don't know why. I wouldn't play it. So I don't know. Again, it's the weird obsession with trying to get stuff.
Yeah.
But I will probably play World of Warcraft as soon as we're done.
Fair. Okay.
But I have kept up with that one.
So how did the World of Warcraft start? Because you were the one who got Gavin into it, or
No,
did Gavin
got me. Well, so we
Okay.
had done some work for HP and for this really cool video game company or computer company called Voodoo
I think
out of Canada. They used to make super high-end gaming PCs, and they got bought by HP, and then they were bringing out an HP by Voodoo kind of. So we helped them with that, and the guy.
And how long ago was that?
By 2009,
sure.
2010,
Late 2000.
Yeah, mid 2000. What is that even?
10 years ago.
Yeah. And so the client, we would play a lot of Call of Duty, like at the office, like from computer to computer. And so he kind of got me into World of Warcraft. And I can't remember if I got Gavin into it from there. He was way better at it than me, obviously. And then it kind of died down. And then I think when they brought the Classic back out, he got me back into that. And I've been grinding out that stupid Classic thing. But again, it's just a way for me. I'll play it in the morning a little bit, or I'll play it at night. I'll have Seinfeld playing over here, play a little World of Warcraft over here, and then. But yeah, I mean, video games again. It's great. Just like with Star Wars, again, like just being a part of that fledgling kind of industry. Again, was really lucky to have to be a part of the kind of early stages of that, and
Yeah.
I think I'll always kind of stay somewhat connected to that. And just Chloe's boyfriend got the Oculus for Christmas.
Oh, Oculus Rift,
That thing is awesome.
Really? I haven't even tried it yet.
I was a huge poo-pooer of like VR and shit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, why would you put VR to go look at the Eiffel Tower? Go see the Eiffel Tower.
No.
That shit is...
It's immersive.
It's so good. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard. I've only tried the PlayStation when PS4 had the VR. It was okay, not great, but...
No, the one thing
sure
we did
that
for
one's-
Oculus is awesome.
I bet.
Yeah.
One thing that you were talking about, playing Call of Duty at the office.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I've always seen NEMO as being a very cool place to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you were able to go in and work.
We had ping pong tables. We had, yeah.
How has that, like, did you guys in the beginning, like, just kind of want to, like, because you said everybody else was kind of like a law firm, very professional.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys from the get-go were just like, okay, we're just going to be a cool company. We're only going to do, like, extreme sports. We want to be this kind of group. And on top of that, how has it been managing that?
Well, okay, that's a good question. So, I need to drink a coffee for that one.
Yeah, no problem.
Again, early on, we never purposely set out to do anything specific. It was like, we just wanted to we wanted a fun place to work. We were there a lot. We were there so much, working so hard early on to grow the business. And, your family life suffers, of course, from that. But we were there more than we were home. So we wanted to make it as comfortable and fun to be at. And sometimes in creativity, it's hard to just sit down and be creative. You need to get up and
do things, get your mind, which when you're not thinking about it, that you actually come up with the idea.
I'm sure Annie over the years has thought that it's, you just fucking around.
A little reckless.
Yeah, why aren't you home? You're home. But we all, we had Donkey Kong. We had a competition grade ping pong table. We've had foosball. We had all that stuff. And again, it was just to kind of foster creativity. And at the time, that was disruptive. Like the industry was, like I said, more buttoned up. But again, we weren't doing it on purpose. It's just who we were. And then it kind of became cliche, where it's like, oh, we had a kegerator. Right? It's like, oh, you got the keg, you got the skateboard, you got the this. But it was never that for us. It was just a natural part of who we were. And we don't have that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
We have sort of evolved a little bit, but it's still a very, you've been, it just needs to sort of extract creativity, and it's, it's a little bit messy. It's a little bit, we're like equal parts highbrow and lowbrow. Like we're because of our action sports upbringing, we were never going to wear a suit and tie.
Sure.
I don't even own one. I just own all t-shirts.
Yeah.
But like, we don't care. Like, it's like, we're so less judgmental about that stuff. But we just want a fun, creative environment. It at times, like, we've had to, like, people are on a conference call and it's like, you guys, you need to shut up. It's we can't hear our conference call. But it's the price you pay to have a good culture. And that's been the hardest part about, we've been working remote, work from home since March of last year. And that's been the hard part, is you really, the human connection and the, just feeding off of each other's energy. Yeah. You can't replicate that on Zoom or whatever. So that's been hard. We're hopeful that we'll get back in the office in 6 months or so, but waiting on those vaccines. But,
so you do plan on going back as soon as possible? Yeah.
Well,
like when it's safe. It's safe.
And it'll probably never be 100% in the office now. We've proven that you don't have to be in the office. We'll probably come up with some kind of hybrid
work schedule or something.
Yeah, like maybe a couple days a week you can work from home, come in.
If maybe a group of people are working on a project, they could go in. Yeah.
I think we need that. Yeah. We need the,
at least the option.
Yeah, it's funny. Half of our shop wants to be back, and then half is like, I don't like this.
So maybe give them the option.
So we'll figure out, like I said, a hybrid.
Okay. Have you had the same location the whole time?
No, we've. This is our third location. The first one, like I said, we were just starting out. Had no money, no nothing. We had a friend who was moving out of a small little little cool spot in Southeast Portland.
Mm.
It's like, hey, you guys can hang here. I won't charge you rent.
Mm.
And then again, we needed that 6 months of just working for unemployment was paying us, and we were building the business, kept every penny in the business.
Mm.
And then we were there for a couple of years. Then we moved into a really cool spot just under the Hawthorne Bridge off Water Avenue in Portland. That was really cool. It was like, and we did a bunch of work ourselves to make it this kind of cool, kind of hardwood floored, brick wall, like exposed ceiling kind of stuff. And then we were there for a couple of years, again, just renting, and then we kind of outgrew it and ended up renting the spot we're in now, still in Southeast, which again was kind of a very underdeveloped area when we first started of Portland. And it was way too big for us, but we knew we were hopefully going to grow into it, and have put a lot of effort into that building, and then bought that building 5 years ago. And so we've
you've only been there 5 years.
No, we've been there for 14, but we bought it 5 years ago.
Oh, got it.
We were renting it, and then we bought it 5 years ago.
Okay.
So hopefully, if the economy turns around,
Sure.
that'll be our big nest egg, is when we sell that.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody wants to buy it.
Yeah. Taking offers.
$6 million.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. It's chump change.
Chump change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Portland's taking a hit right now, though. Like, I saw an article about some of the popularity of it's kind of wearing off a little bit. I think a lot of the businesses are, we're in a pandemic. The economy's not great.
Yeah.
It's been a very expensive place to live and to do business, but it's starting to lose its luster.
Well, okay, so that's what I was going to get into with New York also, because I know you haven't been in over a year now, but a lot of people I've heard, just a lot of articles, a lot of things, are saying that New York is going to really struggle to come back, because there was a lot of little local kind of restaurants, groceries. Do you see, like, I don't know if you have any connections over there or know anyone over there, how do you see New York becoming? Do you see it being exactly how, or not exactly how it was, but
yeah, I'm not like super tuned into it, but I do have some people that live there, and I've heard that again early on in the pandemic, like I want to say like 1 million people fled and like went out to the suburbs, or like if you were an actor or performer on Broadway and there's nothing's open, and I can't even be a waiter, so I'm piecing out back to wherever I'm from. So there's been a pretty big exodus from the
main
city. And I've also read articles where like a third of restaurants aren't going to reopen. So I think it is going to be tough, and I think Portland, on a microscopic version of that,
is in the same boat.
Probably. I mean, I know a lot of small businesses, restaurants and things are just either using this as a reason to say, I either they can't or they don't see the potential upside in a year from now. And again, I would have never predicted how quick it could change.
Yeah.
And
I mean, because
on a lot of levels,
it seemed like the city life was. I mean, even in 2019, the city life was like where everything was happening. Even in Portland, it was on the up. I feel like everywhere in the cities, LA was on the up, New York was on the up, but then...
Yeah, I've heard people that have people with money are like getting out and getting into like, they're buying up property on the coast. They're they're one away from the city. Yeah. Which used to be that's everybody wanted to go to the city, and now they're like, we want out of the city. And I think the protests have also put a little bit of a negative damper on whatever you feel about it. Whatever, but people, it's hard to own a business right now in
Portland. Yeah.
And you don't want to keep having to replace your windows, and our building gets hit with graffiti probably weekly. The city requires us to clean it up, or else they fine us. It's
really?
It's a pain. It's a pain in the ass. Like, I get it. Like, but at the same time, I see both sides. Yeah. Like, I get it. You're upset. and you need an outlet to show you're upset.
Yeah.
Same time, what the fuck did I do? Like,
Yeah,
why are you hitting
yeah.
up my shit? I didn't do nothing.
Sure.
Like, I'm not.
You're not the government.
It's a tough freaking world right now.
Yeah, it really is. Definitely. But, yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to me? That's kind of most of the main topics that I have for you.
No, it's been fun.
Yeah.
How long have we been doing this one?
You're over an hour.
Oh shit! We gotta edit that. That's
edit that. What do you mean? That's not too long. Well, that's longer content is what.
Am I gonna
gets
get more views than Gavin's? You think?
What do you think? How many views do you think?
I have no idea. How many did Gavin get?
I can't tell you.
Okay. Well, it depends if I promote it, maybe.
Well, yeah. There you go. Okay.
My huge outreach.
Anyways, thank you, Jeff, for joining me today. That was fun. And remember to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell as well. Give me a ring if you want to ting. And
I don't know what that even means.
I don't know either. I just said random things.
I'm old.
It's okay. All right. Well, thank you, Jeff.
Cool.
See you guys later.